Hi and welcome back to the Intervention channel. I'm Steve Bruno. Today's subject is really directed at moms. It's called The Mother's Curse, and it is, when I was using, I really felt, and I still to a large degree feel that I was the curse on my mom and on my family. I mean, this is nothing diminishing toward dads. I mean, this is just a fact that from beginning to end, I mean, I have a daughter. I understand the connection is very strong with a father to his daughter. And the same goes for a mother to any of her children. She carries them and gives birth and does the whole thing. I think it probably does not need to be expounded upon the maternal connection between a mother and her children and the lengths to which she will go to protect them, to save them, to rescue them, to heal them, and to love them. So this can work in your advantage, and it can really work against you. I have a chapter called The Enabler in my book. Well, I have a video here as well, in defense of mothers everywhere, parents everywhere, who are perhaps accused of being an enabler, but you don't, as a mother, have a solution that makes sense to you. It's not computing to you, that people tell you, well, you need to cut your kid off, in order for this to work, and you're thinking, that the fuck is that? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. My child is already dysfunctional, addicted to drugs, not operating well, and so what is cutting him or her off going to do? And yet people are railing against you that you're an enabler otherwise, and somehow that's doing something wrong, which is to perhaps pay for his or her phone or give him some money for food, this kind of thing. Say, well, he's just going to use it for drugs, and you're thinking, well, maybe he'll use some of it for food, the phone, at least I know where he is. And so it's tough being a mom. I have a quote in my book. My mother wrote a chapter in my book about my intervention from her viewpoint. It actually appears after the chapter that I wrote about my intervention from my viewpoint as the addict. She wrote a chapter, and the quote that I put up is from Bay Arthur. She was on Golden Girls, and she said, "It's not easy being a mother. If it were, fathers would do it." I know that was pretty good. In terms of being the mother of a using addict who you want to get help for whom you want to get help, and you want to get them into a program, and you've got somebody you've been helping and helping and helping and helping and helping. Here's something I want to say to all of you moms. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'm sorry to my mother if she watches this, for what you went through with me. I mean, nobody should have to go through that. The worry, the guilt, the blaming of self, the second guessing of your own ability to have your own actions, past actions, regrets, things, and I'll just say, I became an addict at a very young age. I was in single digits, and my mother, I've said this, she has never used drugs. I think she smoked pot once. If you did it more than once, Mom, I got my eye on you. No, but she, is an Emmy Award-winning journalist. She, very successful, undergraduate at George Washington, graduate work at Stanford. Wonderful person, very emotionally centered, and very highly intelligent, and yet here I come along, and I had all kinds of problems. I mean, it really had nothing to do with her. I mean, she was a shining example. We had a live-in housekeeper, not as a luxury, but so that she could spend time with us. And she told me this. She said the reason that Marguerite was there is that so when I got home, I could spend time with you guys, 3 kids, and not having to clean the house and do laundry and all that, and cook and all that stuff. When I got home, I could actually hang out. And so she did everything that any mother could possibly be expected to do. And yet I ended up at home for many hours a day after school, or we were cutting school. Marguerite didn't try to raise us. She just kept the house, and she basically ignored us unless we were really screwing up her situation there, her scene, which we did fairly often. But so I was raised by animals. I mean, I was raised by two older brothers who were preteen when I started using, and they had older friends who were teenagers, and this is in the 70s when there was no Just Say No, and pot was very popular. And I ended up, using as a very young child, and by no fault of my mom. And what I want to say is that, all the cruelty that I unloaded onto my mother, that I exploded with when she would mention treatment or help, or that she refused to give me money or this kind of a thing when I was even in my adult years, was rooted in a sense of entitlement that I had accumulated over many years of her bailing me out and providing me with rent, with money for car, or money to fix my car, or money for this and money for that. And I ended up with a really misguided sense of entitlement that I was somehow owed things, that I deserved help, that if I was coming out of a crisis, that I deserved this sort of help. And you'll see this in a lot of addicts. And the main thing I want to say is that addicts and alcoholics, using addicts and alcoholics, unload on the people that they care about the most and that they are closest to. What the exact psychology is, I don't know exactly. I've pondered this subject many nights and days over many years, and I think it has something to do with either pushing my mother away because I wanted to protect her, or to instigate an argument so that I would end up being treated the way I felt I deserved to be treated, or simply a hostility about all of the overt acts, the transgressions that I had committed against her. If you shoplift from a store, you tend not to go back to that store. If you get busted, you tend not to go back to that same store. It's difficult to face. You may even make up stories about why it's not a good store. And that's a very mild example of the tremendous hostility that can be exerted toward a mother who has done nothing but try to help. But trust me when I say that it's not a bad sign. It really isn't. It is actually a sign of great, it's going to sound crazy, but it's actually a sign of great affection and great affinity. Affinity being one's desire to be close with someone. So don't take it the wrong way. If there's hateful hostility being unloaded on you, it's probably because the person trusts you and loves you and is feeling that he has betrayed you and is guilt-ridden to all hell. And the only way to really get rid of it, or maybe to prevent mom from pulling one's sheets and exposing one's transgressions, is to battle. And often people, I think, are just stuck in battles, that they just goes on and on and on for a reason that they are not fully aware of. So, okay, that's a bit about all I wanted to say on that subject. Write to me directly at stevebruno.com. My phone number is there. You can call or text me, stevebruno.com. You can also buy my book called More Than Hope. Again, it has a chapter written by my mother. It was rather interesting, her experience during my intervention. And that's available. More Than Hope is available on Amazon and Kindle. You can click the subscribe button. Certainly, if you're a professional, you want to do that. I have all sorts of interviews coming up and different videos on different subjects. If you'd like to ask your question in the comments section, everybody will be able to see the answer, so that's good. And certainly shop around and look at the different subjects I've covered, and hopefully you'll be able to leave here in better shape in terms of your viewpoint, your perspective on how to help the one that you love who's addicted to drugs or alcohol than when you arrived. So I'm Steve Bruno, and thank you for watching the Intervention Channel.